So I just set my barrel and mouthpiece off to the side for a second with the reed facing up. You always want to be careful when you're doing anything with your clarinet not to break the reed. From this angle, you can see that V where the reed meets the clarinet really easily. Right about there is the sweet spot. But you always want to set the reed to where it's away from something so it doesn't get chipped. And now we're going to talk about the different parts of the instrument. So I'm going to show you with my case, and then I'm going to pick them up and show you how to put them together. So we have this big thing here. This is called the bell. Looks like a bell. This will actually be the bottom of the instrument. And then we have these two longer pieces. These are the main things that your hands go on. Your right hand will go on one, your left hand will go on the other. And these are the parts that generally need that cork grease around the edges of the cork to get put together. So be prepared for this. I'm going to set my camera down another way and show you how these go together. So these two big pieces, this is usually the hardest thing to get together for young kids at first because there's so many pieces on them, we don't know what to do. Now, what you'll find is one of them is going to be slightly longer than the other. The one that is longer will go on the bottom. That will be the bottom part of the clarinet. You'll notice there's these little holes. That is the front side where your fingers go. And then there's also these little buttons and keys and these little metal rods. We want to be very careful when we're holding these not to grip tight on any of those pieces of metal. So when I'm putting pieces of my clarinet together, you'll do this really quick once you get used to it. You're going to want to grab on like the plastic part. Right now I have my hands so where they're not pushing down on any of these keys. I'm grabbing the side on the plastic part. This is called the lower joint, or the lower joint of the body. So what you want to do is put the cork side down, and the side with these little metal keys is going to face up in this one. Now in my other hand is the upper joint, or the upper joint of the body. This one has the larger part of the cork at the top and the smaller part of the cork at the bottom. And I'm going to grab it in a spot where there's not a lot of keys. I grab mine up here on the top. And what you have then are these keys sticking down on the top joint and these keys sticking up on the bottom joint. Now this is where it's real important. You want to do this the correct way so you don't break anything. When you put them together, you may need to use cork grease if your instrument's brand new, and you may need to get an adult to help you because it might take a little bit of pressure for brand new corks. You're going to lightly twist without grabbing those keys really hard. You can push in, and I'm going to try to show you here on the camera. Hopefully you can see it. There is a little groove here where one piece of this upper joint slides in front or on top of this other piece. So when I push them together, the holes will line up on the front, and you'll see this piece right here, it's hard to see, goes on top of the other. If you accidentally get it underneath, none of these bottom buttons will work, so you'll want to pull that out and redo it. But what you want to get, remember, not holding the keys, but the black part, you want to get all of the holes to line up in a straight line on the front. Brand new clarinets, this might take you a little bit. Get your parents to help you work that cork in. Put grease around there. I don't ever have to use grease anymore because mine's older now. I've had this for a long time. But this is the first part. You get the body put together. If you need take time doing this, pause the video here. Get your clarinet looking like this where it's all put together in one piece, and I'll show you how to put the bell on. So the next piece of the bell, this is just there to help amplify the sound out in a different direction. And if we do this right, it's going to go on the larger cork at the bottom. It's going to look like a fatter cork, not the skinnier cork at the top, but at the bottom. And you can tell it's on the bottom because the bottom one has all these little extra keys that stick out to the right away from you. Notice the holes on the front are facing away from my body. That's the way the clarinets play because your fingers will be on the front. So if you have yours with the holes facing you, you need to turn it around. On the back, facing you, should be this one hole, and it should be on the top part of the clarinet. So now, holding something that's not the metal keys, I'm going to take the bell, and you may need to use cork grease on this, especially for brand new clarinets, and I'm just going to lightly set it on there and twist it on. The first few times it goes on kind of rough for brand new clarinets. Get some help. You've got this part all put together. That is the main body of your clarinet. Pause the video if you need some time to do that, and once you have it done to here, come back, and I'll show you how to put the rest of it together. So hopefully now you've got this all put together, the bell, the lower joint, the upper joint, and then you already put together your mouthpiece on the barrel. I always like putting it together this way so that I don't end up grabbing my reed. If I have the mouthpiece set up first on the barrel, I can use the barrel as a handle, and then I'm going to slide the barrel on to the upper joint. And what I want is for that reed to create a straight line to the back of the instrument to where this is. So mine's a little crooked. I'm going to take it and adjust it just a little bit. So the reed is on the back side, so you should get a straight line from your reed. Your two screws for your reed will be on the bottom here. Mine's on the top, remember. And it goes in a straight line down to the thumb hole, down to this thing called a thumb rest. So pause the video if you need to, get that all put together, come back, and I'm going to show you how to hold it. So when we're holding the clarinet, this is the most common problem I see from beginners that try to do this on their own. They use the wrong hand on each side of the instrument. And when we play the clarinet, our left hand is going to go on the top. And what you'll see is there's a hole on the back here. That's going to be where your thumb rests. It doesn't always cover it, but that's kind of like home base for your thumb. Then you have these three little holes on the front. If you got a recorder in 5th grade, it might feel kind of like that. Some of you didn't get your recorder last year. But these three holes, 1, 2, 3, that's going to be your index finger, your middle finger, and your ring finger. Your pinky is eventually going to use all these keys, but don't even worry about it yet. Let your pinky be lazy and just stay off to the side. So you've got home base for your thumb, your first finger, second finger, third finger. Now your right hand plays the bottom joint, and its thumb is going to go under this thing called the thumb rest. It just rests under there. Your thumb rest might come with a little fancy rubber pad that goes there. That's great. It just takes a little bit of the pressure off your thumb. If you don't have one, it's not a big deal. I never play with one. But you just rest your thumb under there. Then your front finger, home base, goes on the top hole. Middle finger, ring finger. And once again, your pinky, let them be lazy right now. They're not going to touch anything. So this is like home base for our clarinet setup. Now, if you were to look at my hands, they're in the shape of a C. I don't want them squashed down like this. I want to make sure the fingertips are covering these holes. Now, a way to check to see if the fingertips are covering the holes and getting a good seal, because we have to seal off all the air to get the right note to come out. I'm going to press down hard and show you this. You don't have to do this. But if I press down hard over these keys, you'll see I have little circles on my fingers. You don't have to do this. I'm just showing you. That's showing that I'm getting a good seal over the holes and no air is leaking out. But your fingers will go over those holes. Thumb on the back. And that is your clarinet setup. Now, when we put it up to our mouth, we're going to do just like we did before. Curl that bottom lip over. I'm going to go to the side and show you. We're going to pull back the reed to our mouth, rest our teeth on top, close in the sides, and then the angle we want the clarinet is like pointing out a little bit farther than your shoes. We don't want it like this. We don't want it like this. We want it about here, not back against your body. That puts tension and pressure, and it makes me talk weird. But this is the angle we're going for. And my camera's a little low, so it looks a little weird, but this is the idea. And what we're going to do is, if our thumb is underneath here correctly, we're going to lift up all of our fingers. Don't drop it. Leave your thumb there. Don't take your hand away like I am, but just lift up your fingers, and your mouth and your thumb will keep the clarinet in place. And then we're going to try doing a ta and getting the note to come out with this. And you'll notice this will sound more like an actual clarinet. Sorry, I often talk with the instrument on my mouth. That is what a clarinet actually sounds like. Much better than that high-pitched thing we did with the barrel. But practice with the barrel first. So I want you right now to take some time and practice getting 4 notes to come out with the instrument put together. Remember, I'm not pressing down any keys over the holes yet. I'm using the thumb to hold the... Sorry, my iPad stopped recording mid-sentence there. But what you're going to want to do is practice getting those 4 notes with no fingers pushed down, just your thumb holding up the clarinet. Your fingers are just hovering above. And you're going to get these 4 notes. Just to see if you can get a sound. Once you can get that, then you're going to click on the next video that teaches both the clarinets and the trumpets how to start using our book. And I'm going to teach you 3 notes that you're going to learn so you can start playing songs in the book.